need the backroom staff. You need we call them the officers, the coaching staff, the manager, the player. You need everything pulling in the one direction. So there was an incident that happened just before when the initial squad was announced for the game against Holland. He named the squad. There was a number of players obviously came in from England from their club matches that were injured. And so he brought in a number of players, but he brought in a particular player called Andrew Moran from the under-21s. Now, the context for the under-21s are playing, they also have a Euro qualifying campaign. Yeah. They made a great start. They had won their first 3 games. They were away to Norway, I believe, on the Friday night, the day before the senior game. Moran was pulled from the squad, brought into the senior squad. The under-21s lost that game. They were winning 2-1. I think they lost 2 late goals. Moran was brought into the senior squad. And then lo and behold, he wasn't even used in the senior squad against Holland. So, to me, and I know he was the manager, obviously a player wants to play adult, or play with the international, your senior team. Yeah. But to me, that achieved nothing. I don't know, I'd love to know what was behind this. Was Stephen Kinney trying to make a point that he took him out on the 21s? He was one of the senior players, one of the main players, and potentially cost him a victory in that game. They're playing Italy tomorrow night as well, in this under 21 as well. So just your thought, and then he didn't even play him in the match against the Holland. So what are your thoughts on that issue?
Yeah, Paul, I saw the clip of Hammond saying, why bring him in now? Because it's a dead rubber. They have a chance of actually qualifying out of this group in the 3-1s. I think they're level with Norway now. But with that result now, Norway won 3-2. They go above the Republic of Ireland, and if it comes down to the head-to-head, obviously we'll. I don't think we played them at home yet. Yeah. But it's a big setback for the Republic. They're playing Italy tomorrow at 5:30, I believe. And I can understand it, Paul, to be quite honest. I know, obviously, getting in with all the players, the experience and stuff like that. But if it's for a dead rubber game, and sorry, it's a game against Holland, and I presume he's still in the squad for the game against New Zealand. Now, they have a big game tomorrow night against Italy. I'm not saying it could affect. It's going to affect.
Well, in fairness, no, he gets far more in under 21 match against Italy because Italy are always strong at under 21 level in a Mickey Mouse friendly against New Zealand. That's not attacking New Zealand, but it is a Mickey Mouse friendly.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what it is, Paul. The under 21s need him, and he's a captain. I think he's the best player. He's got a terrific goal in Turner's cross in one of the qualifiers. I can't make sense of it. Take him out. No, take him out of the squad. Jim Crawford would be, he's lost one of his the best player. Yeah. Goes into the squad, obviously trains with the squad, gets into the squad for the match day against the Dutch. And then Kenny doesn't bring him on. I can't make sense of it, Paul, to be honest with you. I totally understand getting in around the environment of the senior squad and stuff like that, but that'll come. Andrew Moran is a very good, young, creative midfield player. He's playing very well in the championship. Yeah, he's playing very well in the championship with Blackburn Rovers. He looks a very good player. He's on loan from Brighton, so he looks a very good player. Anytime I've seen him, I saw him with the international squad, and his performances. He was in the team of the week there a couple of weeks ago. I think there was 3 or 4 actually Irish players in the team for the championship. So there are players playing well in the championship for the Republic of Ireland. He's one of them, and I don't know why Kenny couldn't bring him on for the last 10-15 minutes. He's a creative player, midfield player. Bring him on. What's he got to lose? Why bring him into the squad in the first place if you're not going to use him? And particularly the importance of these 2 games to Jim Crawford's side. They've lost the game against Norway. There's a good chance with Moore not there now tomorrow night home to Italy. They could lose it. No, I'm not tempting fate or anything like that.
Yeah, we don't know. It's a disadvantage not to have him.
It's a huge disadvantage, boss. Huge disadvantage not to have him. And then I understand it'd be a great moment for him to make his senior international debut, but I guarantee you he's a good young player. He will make his international debut in time. The March friendlies. There's 2 March friendlies now because we're not in the playoffs now for the Euros. There's 2 March friendlies now. Does Kenny want to have a look? But Kenny must know himself that he's not going to get the chance to manage Andrew Moran at senior level after.
Yeah, no, can I come in there, Noel? If Stephen Kinney had just been given a 2-year extension in his contract, then you could understand it. He'd be looking down the road. He want to bring in this young player to see how he gets on. Even if he didn't play him, he would say, how does he behave? How does he look at him? How does his attitude on the train? How does he mix with the other players? Give him the experience of going to Amsterdam. If Stephen Kinney had got a 2-year extension, or if you had a permanent manager, you could understand that. And if I was a permanent manager, I might do that myself. But as we know, the odds are 99% certain Stephen Kinney will not be there. It'll be a temporary manager coming in. So unless he was just trying to make a point that he's the manager and in the day. Now, I don't know what the relationship between himself and Crawford is. Is it part of the contract that ultimately the under-21 players can be called up at any moment to the senior sport if needed? There was a number of injuries. Is that he will say? But to me, the real killer was that when he's not the permanent manager, when he hasn't got an extension of his contract. As I said, if he had a 2-year extension, God, I would say, you know what, fair enough. But he hasn't. That's the real killer to me. And not to play him in and say, I'm just thinking, with Stephen Kinney maybe just on the way out, maybe was he just laying down a marker, or maybe I'm making a point. I just don't know.
I don't know. I don't think he doesn't seem that type of a person, Paul. But you never know what's going on in the back. I think he's had a great relationship with the under-21s. He was under-21 manager himself. Yeah. Let's not forget. I think he's always been a big supporter of the young players. He's given a lot of them their debut. I just maybe he just felt the game against Holland maybe was too much for him in terms of the way that it was going. But I couldn't understand why not just chances. Kinney had nothing to lose. He knows himself the odds of what's going to happen. As you said, 99.9% when that review, I think it's November 28th, if you're going to have, like Vera Powell, the writing's probably on the wall, Paul. We know what's going to happen. So I just couldn't understand why not just A, bring him, but then B, not to play him. And then he could have just left him. I think it doesn't sit right for a lot of people, Paul. The importance. I don't think our industry ones have ever gotten to a European championship.
I'm not sure what but it's the one thing I can't figure out. Now, I do know back in the day, Brian Kerr, but that was an under-17 and under-19. They were very good way back in the day. But as far as I know, under-21s haven't done, but I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah, and it would be a great experience for them to play in the major tournament for the tour level, and he'll bring that into the senior career as well. So I don't know, Paul. I couldn't understand it when I saw it happening at the time. I did not play him. I think people couldn't understand it if he came on for the last 10 to 15, 20 minutes. His senior international debut, playing against the Dutch, great moment against these great players, Van Dijk and De Jong and all. Well, I think De Jong. I know I actually forget about this Dutch team. There was a lot of injuries, so I'm just paraphrasing.
Great history with the Dutch team. Go back over the years.
Great history. Playing in Amsterdam, it'd be great for a young Irish player. This is something he can look forward to in the future. But to not play him, then it doesn't sit right for a lot of people. And I think it's just unfortunate the way things have happened. To be honest with you, Paul. The fact is now he's probably going to, and we were recording this early on a Monday. Whether or not he'll be released back into the under-21 folds for the Italy game, I don't know. I haven't seen anything at the moment, Paul, about it. But
no, sorry, just cut the question on. There's another point. Evan Ferguson is actually under 21.
Yeah.
Like, I would have considered, if I was the chief executive of the FAI, or whoever be the top bio in the FAI, I would maybe, when Ireland were out, the senior team were out of the qualifying. They couldn't before the Dutch game. They were gone. They couldn't qualify. I would have instructed him to release Evan Ferguson if the under-21 manager wanted him, to bring him into the under-21 panel. But then 2 under-21 matches against Norway the other night away above in Oslo, and the home game tomorrow below in Cork against Italy. They are far more important going forward. And particularly if they know the FBI know and they're happened or so, whether they're going to let him go or not. And I would even have consulted on the 21 manager and say, would you like Ferguson in your panel or not? Give him an option. Give him a first refusal. But definitely Moran should be left with him. And if possible, if the under 21 manager Crawford wanted to give him the option of taking Evan Ferguson. Because he is underage with that. And in my opinion, if we're talking about younger players coming through to beat Italy and qualify for under 21 European Championships would be far more beneficial than playing in, as I said, Ireland before the game against Holland. I'm repeating myself now. There was no way we couldn't qualify. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just think maybe it might be going to be a dangerous territory there, Paul. If the FAI go to Kenny saying you must release this player because Kenny then will feel that he controls the dressing room, he controls the team, the team he picks. I would say Ferguson is probably established senior international now. He's got I think 2 goals in his career at the moment. No, 3. Sorry, he's got 3 international goals. Yeah. So his record is quite good for a certain number of caps. Yeah. I think also too, Brian. I think Brighton will have a lot to say as well. Ferguson's fitness hasn't been we've been talking about lately. Ferguson's fitness with Brighton over the last, I'd say, funny enough, since he got the hat-trick at Newcastle, it has been great. He's been on the bench a couple of times. He's been taken off in a lot of games. I think he got taken off in the 51st minute in the game against Holland there on Saturday night. So,
would you be interested when he play tomorrow night against New Zealand?
Well, that's the thing, Paul. Will he play? I have a funny feeling, Paul, with Brighton, they'll put the pressure on for him not to play because he's their player. I think they want to try to nurture him. He's only 19. He's only just turned 19.
Yes, sorry, no, for the question. You're 100% correct. But I believe there is an international rule for a European qualifier or a World Cup qualifier that the clubs can't stop them. Years ago, they could stop the players, but I believe they can't stop them now. But obviously, they could put a bit of pressure behind the scenes, of course.
I think they can put a bit of pressure on a friendly though, Paul. I think.
Oh yeah, for the friendly, you're right, correctly. I'm sorry, I apologise. For the friendly, you're 100% correct for that.
For the friendly, they'll see it. Look, if he does play, he might only play one half, like half time, and might be taken out because, he's just extended his contract, don't forget, as well to 2029.
Yeah.
So they are taking Brighton. There's some team they're taking care of their assets big time. So if anyone wants to buy him, the form he's shown, they'll have to pay up the money. A good payday they'll get if they're going to sell Evan Ferguson anytime soon. So yeah, they know the business. They know.
And what about Moran, in your opinion? What will happen to Moran? Will he be kept with the senior spot for the friendly? What do you think?
I have a funny feeling, Paul. He probably will be kept. I don't think it's right. I think he should be released. Like we said, the game against Italy now is much more important than a friendly against New Zealand. Look, I know that.
I would also say, cutting across you, Italy always are very strong under 21, and that Italian team, in a couple of years' time, a lot of them will be playing with the senior team.
Well, that's right. That's right, Paul. So this is a big, and it's going to be a huge setback if we lose 2 games in a row in the European qualifier, in the qualifiers for the under-21s. They'll be on the back foot. They'll be chasing in, Paul, and Irish teams. We find it very hard to chase down other 2 teams because I think the first team qualify, but I think the second team will go to the playoff. So we're in danger of coming third and having nothing. So we need at least a point in that game against Italy just to keep tabs on Norway and Italy as well. So because we have to go. Don't forget, we'll have to go away to. I think we have to go away to Italy.
Just before we finish up, just moving on. There's also a slight controversy with his new chief executive, is Hill. And I don't know the full amount of something about he didn't disclose his full salary, but we won't go into the full detail because I don't actually know it. But there is a little bit of controversy where, and there's an old saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. That controversy never seems to be far away from the FAI. And as I said, that any success, when you have a small group of players starting off, everything has to be pulling in the one direction. And already there seems to be things are starting to go up the wagon, or what you just a general thought.
Yeah, it has to be right at the top, Paul. Jonathan Hill, a big issue for a lot of people. I don't know about yourself, Paul. Big issue for a lot of people is he still lives in London. Yeah. He still has to fly in, does the work, whatever arrangement he has with the FAI. He's a chief executive of the Football Association of Ireland, and he doesn't live here. People say you can't feel what's on the ground. What's happening in local football, League of Ireland, international scene. You need to be living here to get a full aspect of what's happening here. And a big issue for a lot of people is that he doesn't live here. He said 3 years. We still do not have. We have a sponsor on the shirts for the women's team. We still do not have a sponsor for the men's junior international team. It's been 3 years. Stephen Kinney's. I think for the majority of Stephen Kinney's tenure, I think Kinney took over in early 2020 because the pandemic. He had to do the playoff for the Euro 2020 when Mick McCarthy's contract had run out. But for the majority of the time, if not, I think nearly all the time, Stephen Kinney's team has not had a sponsor on the front of the shirts. There was 3. It was 3 before. It was 3 during the time with Mick McCarthy, and we've had 3 years no sponsor. And people can't say, "Oh, the crowds haven't come." We've had full house against France, full house against Holland. There was over 40. I was there myself. There was over 41,000 tickets sold for the game against Greece. So the crowds have come since everything opened up after the pandemic. We won't go into that, but we still cannot get a sponsor. And the job of a chief executive is to get a sponsor for your main international team, and we can't get one. Now, obviously, there's some restrictions now with betting companies and drinks companies. I suppose they have probably a good lot of money, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be acceptable now to have a sponsor of a drinks company on their shirts. Like Liverpool for years had Carlsberg on their shirts, but they've gone away from that now. So we cannot get a sponsor first, and we need sponsorship. FAI, if they're in financial trouble over the last couple of years, there's trouble at boards meetings and stuff like that. There's a few resignations, and the government are putting pressure on them now to sort themselves out. We need a sponsor, and we still haven't got one. So I don't know, but we can't go into another 4th year of no major sponsor for the FAI's senior men's team. We have everything is positive with the women's side. They have a sponsor. They've qualified for the World Cup. They're getting results on the pitch. So the heat isn't on them, but the heat is definitely on the FAI to get a sponsor for the senior men's team. And there's nothing coming at the moment. I haven't heard nothing
You
in
know,
the last